Hello everyone, I'm Phil Loicono for Tea Party HD, and here with me also is Tony Loicono. Tony, last Friday you spoke briefly on the lame duck session, which includes tax breaks for the middle class, healthcare, the federal budget, and giving our representatives support. Now, with all that said, how important is holding the representatives to what they campaigned for after the November elections?
Well, right now we only have a few people that campaigned a little differently than what they voted last session. You know, obviously a lot of the freshman congressmen and senators won't be coming in until January. But the ones that ran on new campaigns, both Democrat and Republican, you know, and a smaller fiscal or conservative fiscal responsibility, tax breaks, continuing with the Bush tax breaks, etc. Whether they're on the Democrat side or the Republican side, it's very important to keep them, you know, transparent in what they're doing during this lame duck session.
What kind of pressure are these new guys in office under right now?
Well, right now, all of the freshman candidates are in Washington. They're on Capitol Hill right now. They're going through ethics classes. They're learning how to set up their payroll with their offices. There's a lot of things going on right there just to get ready to be into Congress, let alone trying to understand the laws and the bills that will be coming forth.
Would you say there's a learning curve?
Well, I think that one thing is that us, you know, just ordinary Americans like you and I don't understand the pressure these guys are going through and the learning curve. They're under tremendous pressure.
Now, how do we contact them? Would the best way be either via email or possibly even walking into their offices just to let them know that, hey, we the people are here to to hold them accountable?
Well, you know, every congressman or senator has an office in your local area, and then they have it in Washington. You know, phone calls make the biggest difference. You know, that phone ringing, and if it's ringing a lot, they want to make sure that they're responding, and they want to hear what the constituents have to say. Email's good, but also those phone calls really make a difference. And obviously, if you can walk in or put a letter in front of their staff in their local market, encouraging them, giving them a that-a-boy to move forward as some positive things, those are things that will make a difference. So don't hesitate visiting those offices in your local areas.
Yeah. Now, you know, the lame duck session, for most Americans out there, we are aware of this time period, but we're a little bit we don't have the knowledge of exactly what is going on inside these sessions. What is going on?
Well, first of all, you've got this year, unbelievably, you don't have a federal budget that's been approved, the omnibus bill that needs to be finalized. That's, you know, well over $1 trillion that hasn't been approved. Defense budget that's part of that that has not been even approved for this year, you know, $600 billion plus that has to be allocated and spent appropriately. Then that defense budget, you've got special things that you know, Senator Reid wants to happen, the DREAM Act for immigration and giving some front of the line status for people that are college students or in the Army or Armed Services as they move forward in trying to secure status as an American. So there's a lot of different issues, and we'll talk about some of those today.
Yeah. Now, how important are the next few weeks, given that, well, essentially what they're working on inside these offices right now is going to have long-term effects?
Well, let's start out with one that's probably real important to understand, the federal budget. You know, you've got a deficit ceiling right now of $14.3 trillion. It was raised this last year by $1.9 trillion, and you're going to have the Congress and more importantly probably the Senate that's going to try to raise that debt ceiling one more time.
And is that what's going on right now during the lame duck session?
Yeah, well, the next couple of days is a little bit different, and we'll get into that and what's going on with elections. But as far as that federal budget stands, those and the deficit and the debt stands, we need to make sure that our congressmen and senators understand that we don't want that deficit ceiling raised. There's going to be pressure on that. And then understanding that if they do come in and ask for new dollars, that's going to be a no-no. And then third is trying to secure support. I anticipate that Boehner potentially might allow the federal budget not to go forward during this lame duck session with a final vote and actually end up in mid-February where he might be able to roll back spending back to 2008 spending levels, which could make a big difference.
Now, with all that said, what about the previous people in office before the November elections, do they have a say in what's going on during this lame duck session? Let's say maybe Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, absolutely. She's the majority leader right now. And even though Boehner will be coming in as the new speaker, he is the minority leader, which they will flop as we move forward. She has got strong support, even in this lame duck session, with the people that are going to be leaving office. Now, it is not readily known that a lot of the representatives, both congressmen and senators, that have been voted out really just don't show up. So there are a lot of things happening.
The lame duck section.
The lame duck section.
All right, guys. Well, moving on to a big topic, tax breaks. Just this past November 12th, 3 days ago, President Obama laid out his priorities on the tax cuts. Obama made it clear that he was going to sit down with the Democrats and the Republicans to discuss moving forward, while also stating, "My #1 priority is making sure that we make the middle class tax cuts permanent, that we give certainty to the 98% of Americans who are affected by those tax breaks," while continuing on about how he believes that extending permanently the upper class tax cuts would be a mistake and that we can't afford it. How do we feel about these comments, and what exactly is what is he saying?
Well, first of all, I think what he's saying is that we won the House of Representatives.
So they're taking a look at it
They
now.
got to listen. They're having to listen to we the people. That's the important thing. You guys really made a difference out there, and he is starting to listen. It was just a month ago that he wasn't willing to listen to any Bush tax credits going forward. So he understands that the $250,000 and less type of individual is going to go across the board and will be permanent. I don't see any issues there. The question will be is whether the House and the Senate agree to not make above $250,000 permanent, as you talked about, Phil. But there are several other areas within there where there's taxes happening in the middle class that we just don't see, that are transparent to us.
Right.
So,
well, I want to bring one up, a little speculation about this 1% tax on all transactions that has been rumored. If the Obama administration does talk about this and does pass something like that, how is that going to affect, let's say, us middle class?
Well, any type of tax, whether it be a VAT tax like the 1% you're talking about, or a gas tax that's been talked about right now, 15 cents on a gallon, that's one of the groups or committees that's brought that forward. Any of those taxes could have a great effect on us, the middle class people. So for the discussion to sort of point to, and the feeling that, okay, we're going to keep these Bush tax cuts permanent and really not raise taxes on the middle class, is false.
Right. It's just other areas they're raising it.
That's right.
Now, in your opinion, what would be the best outcome for all this?
Well, I think first of all is to whittle through and make the American public aware of the key issues in there. You've got the doctor fix. That's going to be coming up, and we haven't even touched on that.
I'll get to that yet.
And we've got the unemployment benefits for the 99ers. Those are those people that have been unemployed for 99 weeks. We've got the issue of simple, straightforward taxes of issues that will come up that include $40,000 and above could be taxed immediately as of January 1 up to $90 out of their home income. And if you're making $100,000, it can be $300 out of your monthly income. Could happen immediately if these Bush tax cuts do not go through by January 1.
So this is a big deal here coming up.
We've got to make sure that we're listening, but guys, we need to have realistic expectations for our representatives as we move forward. Call them, support them, but be realistic on what you think that they can achieve. We've got a lot to achieve. Our budget for this year hasn't even been approved, and the year's over.
I was going to say, isn't it about 2011?
Yeah, it is, and 2010 hasn't been approved.
All right, guys, let's move on to healthcare. On Friday, Tony, you stated that the doctors, about the doctor fix, may stand up to lose 21% of their bill, any bill, that is, that they send to the federal government. What's that about? And how's that going to affect the healthcare system? For one, I got one more that just came to me, is And is that under Obamacare, what we're talking about?
First of all, it's not under Obamacare.
Okay.
The reason that Obama or the Democratic Senate and House did not put the Dr. Fix into the bill itself is because it was going to cost trillions of dollars. So they promised that it would not be so much, so they arbitrarily left out the Dr. Fix, which kind of interesting that they'd leave out something that's going to be causing major problems but has to be fixed at one point or another. But the Dr. Fix is really about Medicare, and it's about Grandma's bill. And Grandma goes in and spends $100 on a checkup with a doctor, and the doctor sends in that bill. He is only going to get $79 because over the years, the doctors have not been indexed up based on the economy and the overall riding raises that should be going with our economy. So now the federal government's saying, okay, we're only going to give you $79 for that $100 bill.
Now, if not the Obamacare, because this is where Democrats and Republicans have been debating for a while, if not Obamacare, what does, in your opinion, need to be done to the healthcare system to make it better for all of us Americans?
Well, you know, I think that, you know, I'm not an expert in the healthcare side, but what I can say is that we need to strip down the amount of information that's in the Obamacare bill. Number one, there's 2,700 pages in it, and I dare to
say that a lot, but hey, come on, it's fact.
I don't think there's one American. I would challenge any American out there that thinks that he understands that bill fully. It's living and breathing because of the loss. But if there were one thing that I would say that really needs to be addressed, and I believe the House of Representatives is going to come full force after this, is what we call tort reform. And tort reform is taking on the lawyers that are getting these exorbitant amounts of dollars and causing doctors' insurance premiums to go through the roof. They're paying premiums that are just way out of line, and if we could stop the frivolous lawsuits and make that party to Obamacare type of package, I think we could do some great things in this country. So let's reform the tort situation and get these lawyers stop making frivolous lawsuits. I think that that's one of our biggest issues.
Yeah, make it more readable for we the people. I believe that's actually constitutional. All right, well, now on last Friday, you stated that the 2010 budget is yet to be approved. We've talked a little bit about that today, but we're going to expand. It is now being lumped together into the omnibus bill. One, what is that bill? I want to further the viewers' knowledge on that. And two, what is taking so long for the 2010 budget to actually be approved?
Well, first of all, the senator and congressmen have worked very diligently this year on the Democratic side to push through Obamacare and to bring up the federal budget, and the issues that pertain to the federal budget would have been, you know, just mayhem and just caused many problems. So they've sort of left that for the lame duck session. As I mentioned earlier, you know, that could actually get moved into February with Boehner looking at rolling back the spending
all the way to 2008.
Yeah. So with that kind of thought, that's probably the main reason it was not approved. Now, if you and I had a 2000 budget that wasn't approved yet, it'd be kind of interesting. So why not mandate it for our government? But the omnibus bill, that is actually grouping all of the different federal departments together under one lump sum budget. Okay. So it's everything that the federal government spends all aggregated into one, so they don't have to tackle one specific issue. They can tackle it all together.
All right, thanks, Tony. A lot of information going on, and if you guys didn't take it all in, the beauty of our site is that you can rewatch these videos. And if you have more questions, go to info@teapartyhd.com. We'll be sure to get back to you. Guys, for Tony Loiacono, I'm Phil Loiacono, bringing you the news for and by we the people, only here on Tea Party HD. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Phil.